Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. You spend a significant portion of your life at work, so my goal is to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I am delighted to welcome my very special guest to the show today, Jen Owen. Jen, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I am thrilled, my dear. We've known each other for a while, and it's such a great honor to have you on the show. I want to tell the listening audience all about you. Jen Owen is a nurse practitioner specializing in integrative medicine. She combines conventional, herbal, and functional medicines to create a unique experience for her private practice patients. In addition to her unique style of patient care, Jen is known for her educational blog, her public speaking on health and wellness topics, and her online interactive course called Health Transformations. She's got a mission to teach as many people as possible about the benefits of nutrition and natural therapies. And Jen is busy designing additional programs to add to her current work. She's working to add distance consultations, which will allow access to many more individuals. And she's also creating online coursework for other healthcare professionals. And Jen hopes that this course will help educate other people about natural medicine and alleviate the fears felt by many of her conventional colleagues. So, Jen, great segue for us to dive in. What sparked your interest in natural medicine? Where did that all begin?
Well, through my childhood, I experienced a lot of sinus infections and other illnesses, so I had been on antibiotics for many, many years. Then I was in college. A friend suggested I check into herbal therapies, and I really had no idea what that meant. I was like, herbs, what are you talking about? And she gave me a book, and I read the book, and I started making my own teas and extracts and messing around with herbs, and lo and behold, that was the only thing that really worked to get rid of the sinus infections for good.
Wow.
So I never really have had a problem with that since. I'm also like the person who gets the 0.1% side effect. I'm that person. Every time I've ever really taken anything, it never goes very well for me. So the natural therapies just work so well, and I feel like once I changed my diet and started using herbs, then I rarely get sick now, and I just felt like that was like how I wanted to spread knowledge to the rest of the world in using natural medicine.
That's amazing. I don't think I knew the backstory about your history early on. That's really interesting. So, Jen, I'm fascinated with the difference in integrative medicine from conventional medicine, and it seems to be that there are two camps. Can you help us understand those differences and what that looks like in the greater landscape?
Sure. And I think sometimes people think of integrative as the same thing as alternative medicine, where alternative medicine usually is only using natural therapies to treat an individual. Integrative medicine uses everything.
Okay.
So what I do in my practice is I'm looking to find the root of the problem with someone. So rather than what conventional medicine often does nowadays is we treat a symptom and then the new symptom comes, so we treat another symptom and then we treat another symptom. And so pretty soon many people are on 5 or more medications. I just saw a study that was done recently that 67% of older Americans are on over 5 medications.
Wow.
So what we try to do in our practice is try to figure out, why did the very first symptom start? What happened in the first place? So again, finding the root of the problem, maybe going back to what happened. A lot of times what happens with people is a personal trauma happens, such as a death in the family or a divorce or something really big happens that changes the eating habits, that causes a lot of stress in the body, and then symptoms will begin from there. So if we can go back and heal some of that emotional issue, then we can start to treat those symptoms better and better. Other things about integrative medicine that are different is that the patient and the practitioner really work as a team. So it's not, I'm the authority, you're the patient, I know what's right, here's what you do. It's really a dialogue. So my appointments with people are usually about an hour long, so that we get a long chance to look at the history and try to dive into what happened in the very beginning. Other things that we do with integrated medicine is we're looking at the person as a whole person. So we're looking at mind, body, spirit. We're not just looking at what's happening at that moment. We're looking at what's happening in the whole life of the person. Then we use natural, less invasive means whenever possible for our treatment.
I think that is so cool, the team approach and the dialogue. One of the things that I think is really sad about modern day healthcare on the more conventional side is that you might get 20 minutes with your physician or your nurse practitioner or whomever your healthcare provider is. And I just feel like they're trying to turn the tables like in a restaurant. The relationship is just not there.
Right, and it's unfortunate because I think that we have so many outstanding medical providers who are caught in a system that
Yeah.
we've created.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people would love to spend more time, but because of insurance and repayments and all the different things that have to happen, they really are caught in a system of it is. You do kind of have to treat the issue at hand because in 20 minutes, I think is a really a long time. Most of the time, if I go, I get maybe 5 or 10, and that's what I hear from most of the people that come here.
And thank you for your clarity on that. That's true. I don't want to vilify the practitioners. I realize it's a system that has created this environment, and it is all about the bottom line. And although I do understand the business model, I think it's really sad because we're not teaching people how to be well. We're always trying to solve a problem that I think ought to be
Exactly. Yeah,
prevented.
exactly. Right. And that's what we are in our world of integrative medicine, we try to do that differently. And it doesn't mean that with integrative medicine, we're absolutely not anti-conventional medicine. I use medications all the time. For example, if someone comes in with a blood pressure that's really high, we don't usually just start with herbs. We start with a medication, bring the blood pressure down, and then try to go backward and figure out why the blood pressure got high in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's using the best scenario for each patient individually and really looking at what that person's needs are.
I hear the educational component too, to really help the individual understand what's happening and how they can be involved and accountable for their wellness as well,
Absolutely.
not just being
Absolutely.
reactionary.
Yes, and I do, for example, a panel that looks at it's from a company called Boston Heart, and it looks at a bunch of different factors. So it looks at cholesterol and metabolics and inflammatory markers, and it looks at your thyroid and vitamin D, and it's a great big panel. But I spend an hour with people doing the follow up, and they get a whole book that comes with it, and I explain to them exactly what's happening in their bodies as far as what's happening with their cholesterol, what's happening with their blood sugar, what's happening, are certain levels high or low, and then what can we do about them. So it's a huge educational piece for sure.
Hey, speaking of which, you have this amazing new e-course called Health Transformations. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've had it about a year, and so quite a few people have signed up for it. And what it is, it's 7 self-paced lessons that come to you weekly that look at transforming pretty much every part of your life. So, like I said, mind, body, and spirit all together. So we look at things like food, of course, and exercise, moving your body. But then we go into things like mindfulness and looking at a technique called emotional freedom technique or tapping that's really gotten popular right now for releasing emotional problems. Each week covers one of the 7 chakras. So we're looking at that, and then each week talks about different herbs that you can use to balance those chakras. Talk about meditation. There's every lesson. Every week has about 4 topics that people can go through. It takes about 30 minutes a week to do the basics. People can take as long as they want to do it. They don't have to follow it just in 7 weeks. So it's work at your own pace. And then I have a Facebook group that goes with it so that when people have questions or concerns or things come up that they're not sure about, they can look through it. And they can also, if they join later on, search through the group to find answers to some of their questions. So it's become a really nice community of support for people as well. When things are coming up, everybody's just jumps in and tries to help out best they can and shares a lot of resources with each other.
That's great. I love the community building part of that because you feel like you've got a tribe, right? You've got people
Absolutely.
that are out there with you. So
yes, and you feel like you're not alone if something's happening to you and someone's like, oh, that happened to me, or when that lesson came up, I learned this and I did that. So it is definitely a nice piece to the program.
That's great. So Jen, what are your secrets? And I shouldn't say secrets because it doesn't have to be a secret, but what are your strategies to manage your own health, or maybe daily practices that you employ to stay healthy?
Sure. One of the big things that I do is I start my day even before I get out of bed with a positive intention for the day.
Nice.
I usually say something like, thank you to universe, God, whatever your belief system is, but thank you for bringing me people who really need my help. And then I just basically say, today's going to be a good day, or something along those lines. If I know it's going to be a really busy day, I say something like, I'll be able to handle this day, or whatever it is that I need to hear. So I do that before I even get out of bed. And then I usually spend about an hour in the morning doing meditation, planning the day, looking at how I want my day to be, the outline of my day. I enjoy astrology, so sometimes I'll see what's happening in the astrology world.
Yeah.
Other things that I do is I try to move my body every day in some way. So whether it's a formal exercise or just getting out of my office, I work right next to, in Bloomington, the Beeline Trail, which is an old train track for people who don't live here, that has a trail on it now. So I'll try to at least get out and walk for 10 or 15 minutes. I love yoga and Zumba and other fun things. The other things I do as far as eating goes is I try to eat the rainbow every day. So I try to eat every color of fruit or vegetable every single day. And that way I know I'm getting the basic phytonutrients that I need. And I also eat a lot of good fats. I think one of the things I notice with a lot of my patients, and I've learned about myself, is that we're all actually kind of fat deprived. Mm-hmm. We've been taught that fats are bad. So eating a lot of nuts, avocados, olive oil, all those good fats, I try to do a lot of those. And of course I drink plenty of water, the basic thing. And then before I go to bed, I stretch every night. I always do a 5 to 10 minute stretch, which I think allows me to sleep even more deeply.
That's amazing. So Jen, I'm going to ask you a question that relates to me on a personal level. I gave up sugar, and
good for you.
Yay! And it's been almost a year. It'll be a year in a few months, and not only refined sugar, but any kind of processed or artificial sugar, and it has changed my life in such a wonderful way. So I wonder,
what's changed?
Well, I'm sleeping well. I lost weight. I have tons of energy. That I don't have those dips in energy anymore. I'm just eating cleaner, and I just feel more vibrant. I feel like a shade has been lifted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So I just wonder, because I definitely had some sugar issues, and it took months, for me to really kind of detox out of my system. And as we know, sugar can be hidden in so many things. So I'm really conscious about eating whole foods that don't have sugar. Obviously fruits have natural sugars in them, but do you see this as an issue with people?
Absolutely.
Addiction to sugar?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is sugar causes inflammation. So inflammation now, I really believe in the companies that I work with and the testing that we do, that inflammation is one of the biggest factors as far as cardiovascular disease, metabolic problems, everything that we're seeing. So when we're eating sugar regularly, we're raising inflammation, which can cause problems in pretty much any system in the body. It also causes us to be overweight, to feel unmotivated to exercise, all those things that you kind of mentioned. And yes, sleeping is a big one when there's a lot of sugar being eaten. So absolutely. So you just did a huge thing to benefit your health.
It's just transformed my life. It really has. So I just share that with you as my own personal epiphany in my wellness journey. But what are some of the other issues that you see and teach about that are common pitfalls or blind spots that we experience in this world that you can help us navigate around?
Sure. One of the biggest things that I see that I'm actually writing a book about right now is that I'm seeing that most people are running around in the sympathetic nervous system. Mm-hmm. So the nervous system has the two parts. The sympathetic, which is what we call fight or flight, and then the parasympathetic, which is what a lot of people call the rest and digest. So fight or flight is a great resource we have in our bodies when, for example, we're being chased by a bear.
Right.
If we're running, I call it running from a bear. So if we're running from a bear, many good things happen to get us faster. Our breathing changes, our heartbeat increases, we stop all the other processes in our bodies so that we can take all the energy that we have to run away from that bear.
Yeah.
But what's happening is that everybody's so stressed. In combination with this, people are not really living in their present moment. They're planning 100 steps ahead of themselves at all times. So they're feeling stressed pretty much all the time, which is making those changes in the body happen all the time. Which that should a sympathetic response should be happening very, very seldomly in the body. But people are running from the bear all the time. So what I see is poor digestion. So they're not resting and digesting. They're not sleeping. They're not able to relax at all. They're having problems with their bowel movements. They're getting cardiovascular issues because their heart rate's up all the time. They're getting high blood pressure. Their blood sugar is up because, of course, we'll get some more blood sugar from our body if we need to run from a bear. So what I'm seeing is that everyone's running around in this sympathetic nervous system, and then all the health problems are coming from that. So when we say stress causes illness or stress causes heart disease, it's because of this response of the body, and then the body's trying to keep up with this response, which wears down some of the other systems.
Wow.
So
I can just see that, right? It's proverbial, but this running from something, that stress, running from your bear, whatever that means. Wow.
So if we, that's one of the things I talk a lot about with people is how do you stop running from the bear? And the E-course, of course, goes through a lot of steps to do that. But when I'm meeting with people one-on-one, I'm just getting them to do a breathing technique that Dr. Andy Weil, who's pretty much our father of integrated medicine, most people know who he is. Mm-hmm. He has taught us a breathing technique called the 4-7-8 breathing, which you breathe in for 4, you hold your breath for 7, and you breathe out for 8. Nice. And it's been found that if you do 4 cycles of that, which takes less than 2 minutes, you will completely change out of sympathetic into parasympathetic. So that's just a real basic thing that anyone can do. Anytime you start to feel overwhelmed or stressed or working too hard, you need a break, you can do the 4-7-8 breathing. If you go on YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of videos about it.
Good stuff. 4-7-8. So inhale 4, hold for 7, and then breathe out on 8.
Exactly.
Got it. Awesome. I'm writing that down. That's part of my toolkit. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. And I've had many people come back and say, I'm doing the breathing and it's helping so much.
Awesome. Baby steps. Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jen, why is it important to educate other healthcare professionals about natural medicine?
Well, and I think you mentioned in the bio, one of the things I'm working on is an online course for other healthcare professionals, because what I hear from my patients after they've been to a more conventional provider is that they'll tell them, oh, you shouldn't take that herb, or, oh, your food is not affecting your health in that way, or that's too many supplements, and there's a lot of fear, I think, from conventional providers, and I totally understand it because there's no education about it because it's not part of the curriculum. So the goal of my course is to hopefully lay out all of the basic things that might be causing fear, like interactions that they might need to really worry about rather than all the interactions that are out there that people think there are. There really aren't that many. What are the basic supplements? What are we doing in natural medicine? What are our basic philosophies, ways we go about treating people, and put it all together in a course, because I feel like if I can reach many healthcare providers and educate them, then that will help many patients feel less alienated, feel like they can communicate better with their healthcare providers, and just provide a better patient-client or patient-provider relationship for everyone. So I think it's important, and whether a provider wants to be prescribing natural therapies or not, just to help with the open-mindedness, because I think it's such a huge industry and it's such a huge movement in our society because of a lot of the things that we've talked about already today, that if we can encourage more open-mindedness, then that's going to make for a lot more happy relationships out there.
There you go. Good stuff. You are amazing, my dear. I'm so grateful that you shared your time and expertise on the show, and I know our listening audience will benefit from everything you shared. But how can we follow you? You've got some great content that you put out into the world. You've got a wonderful website, so tell us how we can connect.
Sure. The basic, easiest way is through my website, which is www.jenowennp.com, and it's just one N on Jen, so JENOWENNP.com. And through the website, you can find my Facebook page. You can join my newsletter where I send out blogs and information. You can also, if you search my blog, find a lot of information. I think I have probably 70 different blogs on there right now on a lot of the topics we've talked about today and many others. And then also you can link if you're interested in the e-course, and hopefully the distance consultation information will be up very soon.
Excellent. Jen, Owen, thank you so much, my dear. Always good to have a conversation. I hope our paths cross in person very soon, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, my dear. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. Career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. My show is now available on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, and Stitcher. Leave a comment, as I always appreciate hearing from my listeners. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.